So today's movie review, Movie Monday, is Chevalier de Saint Georges. My issue is the fact that he went to Mozart's concert and came and outplayed him. That's like somebody going to Beyonce's concert and out singing her. Stay tuned. All right, welcome to another episode of Haire. For some reason, this movie came out 2022, but it didn't really get released into Disney, which is on Disney, which I'm just like, I'm not letting my kids watch this. I don't even have kids. But yeah, so his main interest, Chevalier de Saint Georges, and then he was born Joseph de Boulogne. But his love interest is Marie Josephine, and she was born on July 24th. I know somebody else was born July 24th, and she's messy too. That's how I know I believe the story. I'm messy, okay? But no, let me take you back. So basically, it's I believe it's the 1700s, which that's one of my cons. It wasn't really clear about what time or what everything this took place on. But basically, the story is about he was from an inopportune birth from two people. You're not gonna cancel me. And basically they found out that he was skilled at violin, composing, harpsichord, piano, and of course director later on. And so they ended up taking him to a Parisian finishing school. You know, he faced a lot of challenges to get to where he's at. So, you know, after he outplayed Mozart, which, you know, everybody know Mozart. After he outplayed him, basically Marie Antoinette basically went ahead and named him Chevalier. Chevalier means knight in French. And so they went ahead and named him Chevalier de Saint Georges after his father. Try not to be messy. After his father. So basically the plot of the story, the main thesis statement of the story is that he's going through and he's trying to be hailed as the main opera, like the main, basically like the head of the opera, right? And so the thing about it is just like to make it, you know, interesting, because, you know, they didn't have Wi-Fi back in the day, they didn't have cable back in the day. To make it interesting, they basically made a competition where each person's going to compose, direct, and, you know, direct and oversee like their own play. And then whoever has the best play, he goes against this one dude who he's not even close. Anyway, so they go against it. And of course, you know, he needs a lead singer, and he ends up falling for the beautiful Marie Josephine, Miss Weaving. You know, she's in her acting bag, and the main actor, he's in his acting bag. He was acting his butt off. He barely had no butt left. Anyways, but so what ends up happening is that they end up declining him. No surprise, this is the 1700s. You can't be coming up in there with all that melanin and get approved. Come on now. Anyway, so he ends up getting declined. So he goes off on a tangent, and, you know, when man loves a woman, something happens. So what ends up happening with that is the fact that Marie Josephine is married, and so she gets pregnant. The baby is of the melanated hue, and they end up sending the baby somewhere else. And so, you know, that destroys him, and that makes him tie back with his mother, because after his father passed away, his mother was free of her ties to him, and she was able to move in with him. You know, of course, you know, I feel like he did very well with balancing both, you know, the fact that people were looking at him, making fun of him, like his people, basically his origin, whichever African country that his mom came from. And so basically what ended up happening was that he was balancing, you know, being of both worlds. You get the best of both worlds. I mean, low-key was Hannah Montana, because, you know, he had to put the wig on and he had to put the wig off, you know, to really show who he is. And so what ended up happening, I remember this direct scene that pissed me off when you know, he was trying to do the music, and like he was trying to basically be himself, or whatever his self is. And like I remember his people were making fun of him, saying that he's too uptight and this and other. And I'm just like, you confuse assimilate with sell out. There's two different things, okay? You can assimilate, but you do not have to sell out. And he never sold out. He was always himself. But it's just like the plot of the story. I feel like they did a really good job on that, and I'll go into my pros in a little bit. But that's overall like the plot. And, you know, of course, at the end, he ends up putting on a play that's like more focused on his type of culture. And then Marie Antoinette was just like, oh, okay, if you put this play on, you're gone, da da da. But then people start uprising. Now, mind you, this, like I said, this is where my cons start coming in, because this was like kind of based off of when the French Revolution started happening, and you know what happened with Marie Antoinette, with her. This is like during that time, so she kind of had to play nice, and that's why she wasn't able to back him, because they were friends, you know, according to history, they were friends, or what's left of his history. But that's pretty much the plot. So we're gonna go into the pros and the cons. I'm gonna go into the cons first, and then we're gonna go to the pros. That's my signature. So the cons. Number one, the timeline was fuzzy. Why is Mozart randomly in here? All right. I'm sitting here, I was like, okay, Wolfgang, I don't know what you're doing in here. There was a time leap from when Chevalier, sorry. There's a time span where Chevalier and Marie-Joséphine had the baby, and they kind of time jumped a little bit. They're like 6 months later. Like, I felt like that was kind of awkward timing. Like, after he got declined the opera, and they time jumped, it was kind of, I don't know. I don't like time jumps in movies, so it's giving me that you're not using your time wisely. Number two, the ending was rushed. I really feel like there was, at one point, I was just like, I feel like somebody said, wrap it up. I feel like someone in the back, the director, was like, wrap it up. Because like, I feel like they spent a lot of time on certain scenes where I was like, you could have spent this up. I mean, when they had their secret affair with Marie-Joséphine and Chevalier, like when they had their secret affair, they did a montage, which they should, because it's just like, maybe we don't got time for that. This runtime already long. But there are certain parts where I wish they would have expounded on a little bit more. But like I said, the timeline was fuzzy. I know it's in the 1700s because Napoleon was like at the end of the movie, and then I feel like too, the origin story was skipped, like how he was born, like the whole thing. Like, I didn't want them to go too much in detail, because it's not even all about that. Like, the movie is literally called Chevalier, so it's not really about his origin story. But I wish they would have expounded a little bit more about her experiences, which they did a good job. But it was just kind of like, in time to tell the story, wrap it up. Like, I feel like there was like a timing where I was like, okay, so I see y'all trying to wrap this up. But yeah, definitely for sure, some parts of the timelines were fuzzy. And then also, I think this is just me being a nitpicker, because I'm a movie buff. I'm not buff, but I'm a movie buff. But I think this is me being a nitpicker. But there was certain pieces where I was just like, now you know that wouldn't have happened. And like, melanin was not appreciated back in the day, okay? So there are certain parts where I feel like Chevalier got away with certain things, of like outbursts and, you know, disagreements. And I was like, now you know that would not have, you know, that would have went way south. But I guess they wasn't trying to go too deep. But there were certain pieces where I was just like, if you're gonna go there, you got to go all the way there, okay? Especially what happened with their love child. Okay, you'll have to go watch the movie, but if you're gonna go there, go all the way there, because there are certain scenes where I was just like, now you know he would have been able to get away with all that. Okay, so that was what I was not playing. But let's go into the pros. Number one, with him beating Mozart at his own concerto, number 5, it was giving, because every time I've seen Mozart, and just from, you know, like I said, I play piano, trumpet, a little bit of baritone is very heavy for me. It's very heavy, my little arms. But I do play piano. I can definitely say I'm a Beethoven girl. Moonlight Sonata, I have it memorized. Don't even need the sheet music. ADF, like I already have that. I was like, I have it memorized. But Mozart is always like, just, you can just, from listening to his music, you can hear his ego in his music. So I like that they portrayed him as getting beat by him beating him at his own concert, which once again, that's wild. To go to somebody's concert and beat them, they didn't have Wi-Fi, they didn't have cable. You know, they talked about that for eons. Like, you know, it was the talk of the town for the next 2 or 3 years, because there was no TV. Like, this was their entertainment. Number 2, the music. The music was so beautiful. Like, some of the stuff that he composed, I was just like, oh my God, I'm so mad that this was lost to the world. And, you know, I'm glad that people are starting to find, you know, there's like a resurgence of people's interest in classical music, because current music is trash. So I like that people are come back to us. Like I said, I like to listen to a variety of music, but I like the fact that people are starting to come back towards classical music, you know? So they're starting to unravel, you know, other people who was there, because whenever people think of classical music, you think of Tchaikovsky, Chopin, Mozart, Beethoven, you know, and then if you're really seasoned, you know, and if you're really seasoned, you can name some other ones that I don't know myself, but Bach, if you're really seasoned, Bach, you know, but it's just, I think that I just really like the music. I was just like, the score for whoever did the score for the film, they were on point. I really feel like it was truly a treat to the ears. Like it just reminded me that I need to start listening to more classical music again, because like I need to uncleanse my ears from the the earworm that is the top 40s of the countdown. Number 3, the struggle of culture. I like that because as someone who, you hear how my voice sound, it is hard to show like your fellow people that you are still down. But it's just like I said, there's a difference between assimilating and selling out. And, you know, more often than not, people like to think that you're selling out, but you're just assimilating. You know, for example, like let's say Walmart, which I know they're not, well, let's say Walmart had a strict, hey, no sandals, only sneakers, but you should, because Walmart floors are disgusting. But let's say Walmart had a thing where they said, hey, only sneakers, no sandals, and when you go into our stores, and I started wearing sneakers. I'm not selling out, I'm assimilating. I need to get my groceries, I need to do A, B, and C, I need to be able to use this as a tool to go to the next one. So I think that I really like that piece. They weren't afraid to be honest. Now, they didn't go all the way there, but there were certain pieces that you could just tell, like when he was at the finishing school, like when Chevalier was at the finishing school, there was a couple of scenes where, you know, the welcoming committee wasn't too appreciative of him being there. So I really like that fact too, that there was no, I'm trying to think because like, I'm trying to nicely say stuff and not get canceled. But like there were certain parts where he was not welcome. So I really appreciate that they show that, because like I don't want you guys to sit there and get it twisted. Like everything that we're experiencing now was not readily available back in the day. Number 5, the romance. I ain't gonna lie to you, like I know it's wrong, but I was cheering for Maui and Chevalier. I was cheering for them. Like I know it was an affair and everything, but the Marquis, it was a meanie head. Like I was not like literally like, but the only thing I can give the Marquis is that he stepped to him and he said, if you try to get my wife to be the singer for this opera, I'm coming for that. And he made good on his word. He messed around and he found out. Okay. So I really like that the Marquis stuck by his word, because, you know, some people like, I'll duel you tomorrow. Like duel never comes. No, Marquis literally made good on his word. The moment he found out about whatever was going on, he messed around. He said, you gonna mess around and you're gonna find out. Like he immediately acted on his word. So I don't know. I'm kind of chilling with the Marquis on that one. He did his thing. But overall, I give the movie a 3.5 out of 5. You wanna know why I didn't give it a 5 out of 5? Baby, the accents were inconsistent. Now, I'm not here to sit here and, you know, expect perfection, but if everybody's going to it, if there's going to be an accent across the cast, everybody needs to do the accent. Okay? Everybody needs to do the accent. Like it kind of reminds me of Bridgerton, like even though they are, you know, British, the Queen's English or the King's English now, everybody had to still learn the Regency accents. Okay? They still had to learn the Regency accents, because I didn't realize little mama, Kate's little sister from Bridgerton, like her accent in real life, so swoony, like so swoon worthy. I love her accent. That's like the Regency accent. I would have been like, you don't do the Regency accent, you do your accent. Her accent is so, oh my God, I love it. As soon as I heard her do an interview, I was like, you got to keep talking for the rest of the year. Everybody else, shut up. Like, I was like, I need to hear your voice for the rest of the year. I love her accent. But there wasn't consistency across the accents. Like at one point I was like, wait, is this a French movie? Like, cause even though like he was 8 years old when he went there, like I expected Chevalier to have more of a French accent, like not the pawn on the left, the pawn on the chicken, the feather. Like I didn't expect him to have one of those, but I was expecting Buddy to have more of a French accent. You've been in France, you trying to tell me you've been in France since you was 8 years old? I could go to another country for another year and pick up that accent immediately. So like, I don't know how you tell me you've been in that country since you're 8 years old. You don't got no accent. Cap. It's not like the people around you were speaking your language either. So I don't know, but I can definitely say that's my review for the movie. Are you going to watch it? You should. It's on Disney Plus, and I believe you can also stream it on Hulu as well. Don't forget to subscribe, share. It's Claire Haire.